We'll call the meeting to order. Are you ready to call this? Just okay. Councilor Richardson?
Yeah. In the spirit of reconciliation, we acknowledge our meeting place for the City of Flin Flon Council chambers that situated on the ancestral lands of the Treaty 5 territory. We'd also like to acknowledge that we also work in partnership with First Nations in Treaty 6 and 10 territories and the Métis Nation.
Thank you. We'll still have a reading and confronting of minutes of Councilor Richardson again.
Be it resolved that the minutes of the regular meeting of council held October 1st, 2024 be adopted as received.
Seconder, Councilor Slip. All in favor? We have a resolution from Councilor Deliston.
Thanks. Check schedule 34-23. Be it resolved that the account in the amount of $583,688.10 be approved for payment.
Seconder, Councilor Eagle. All in favor? Councilor Richardson again.
Arts Council 34-24. Be it resolved that the City of Flin Flon give a discounted hourly rate for the rental of the Community Hall May 8th to May 11th for the production of Annie.
And then we need a seconder for that, Councilor Hanson. All in favor? Annie it is. Councilor Eagle.
Yes, thank you. This is Resolution 34-25. It is municipal funding request. Be it resolved that the City of Flin Flon approves the grant application in the amount of $750 to the Northern Wild U15 AAA female hockey team.
Second, Councilor Slales. All in favor? Councilor Slales.
I have 3.4, Attendance Management Policy 34-26. Be it resolved that the policy MMP-004, Attendance Management Policy as attached here to be approved.
Thank you. Councilor Hanson. All in favor?
By this for so Councilor Hanson. I have GPS policy 34-27. Be resolved the policy MMP-005, the GPS vehicle tracking policy as attached here to be approved.
Second, Councilor Lindley. All in favor? Councilor Lindley. I've been dead on each time.
You're catching on.
You might have a resolution, Your Worship. Resolution 34-28. Be it resolved, policy MMP-006, asset management policy as attached here, the approved.
Second, Councilor Eagle. All in favor? Joel notes the let's go. Well, just a minute. Before we do, we got one thing for sure. It was just mentioned to me here that Kathy Valentine from Thompson, who has been a vice president of the AMM, is now the interim president of our organization due to the resignation of Cam Blight. So for the rest of the term, it was her covering, and I understand she is running for office. So we found her to be a wonderful person to work with, so we congratulate her, and we're looking forward to seeing her have great success.
And she's also the VP of the FCM, the federal organization. So she's a busy lady.
Yeah, she gets things done. So it's nice to see it. And that reminded me of that, so we could make that a public kind of a thing. It's somebody from the North, working for the North all the time, and they have been, as a group from Thompson, have been very good at communicating with us whenever they're working on things. That's why I mentioned this, because they're not hiding in their corner. They're making sure that they keep good representation. So we're very pleased to have somebody like that in our organization. Right. But now I did. You said there what I did. All right. So we'll move for adjournment. Okay. And then we'll move to questions.
I can one quick question. If your question is for this rental that you're going to alter this lighting discount for Annie, how much is that for? It doesn't specify the amount.
Do we have an amount on that? I don't have it.
Well, I know the amount that they're paying us is $2,500, but it's a discounted rate. So usually people ask us to do the full thing in kind, but because of the length of it, they are just paying a reduced rate.
So I'll just say discounted.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
These different policies you read off, I mean, I haven't had time to read through all this. Could somebody in a nutshell just tell me what they are? And what's kind of why they kind of come up with?
Let's see.
The attendance management policy is just a recap, I guess, of the city's policy on attendance of their workers and also defining, what different absences are, whether they're, I can't remember the exact terms.
It lays out their responsibilities.
Exactly. It just lays out the responsibilities for both parties on attendance and how we manage that.
Sick leave.
Yeah.
What short-term sick leave, long-term sick leave, when people just call in sick, what we as employers have the right, asking for a doctor's note or whatnot, just kind of what the policy is when somebody calls in, how long you have to call before your shift. So just standard HR stuff. Yeah.
Okay, what about the other ones quickly? The vehicle tracking policy and the asset management policy.
It's kind of the same thing. The GPS is just it just documents and lists what we actually have with that GPS units within all of our vehicles. So how fast somebody's going, where they're going, how long it's idling. So it lists everything. So the employees know as well as the employers what we're actually tracking. So we have full disclosure. And how we can use that if, for example, there was an issue, what the steps would be for that with the HR department.
These policies, I'm not assuming it.
Well, we never had GPS in the vehicles before, so once we had them in, we had to have a policy put in place.
Okay. The last one there, Allison, quickly, that management policy, please.
I didn't, that's not mine one. I'm the GPS one.
Well, that was my only.
Yeah.
So essentially, what it is just make sure to go the assets that the city owns.
Yes.
Whether it be visible things such as pickup trucks with GPS in them, or it could be the stuff underground because we can catalog that as well. So
Land.
paying the age of it, when it should probably need to be replaced.
Right, sir.
Yeah, essentially the life cycle. So that then, if we know we need 10 new manual covers, we already have them probably ordered and they're probably sitting in a warehouse. But just a note, and those 10 go out and replace the old 10 that are, defunct and no longer serviceable. Well, now we need to order 10 more. And just keeping track of all those things. So it's just that these are just policies and procedures to manage all of our assets and our employees to help. And exactly what Allison said, help they know what the employer's rights and regulations are, and we have the expectations for the employees.
So is this something you're going to add to every year, or is this just going to be kind of concrete that you're going to use?
Already concrete, there might be some, at least the asset management might need a few alterations here and there as we find things out and grow and kind of roll with it. But I would assume these will probably be in place.
So basically, in a nutshell, it's policies and procedures to manage the employees and assets in the city.
Yep.
Exactly.
And these policies and procedures are fully in line with up-to-date other communities and other municipalities that have a human resources department, as we do now with the city of Flin Flon. Also, the asset management policy is huge when we're looking at budgeting for the following year or any year after that. The GPS policy, as Councillor Dallas said, we now do have GPS in all city trucks and possibly in equipment and assets to come. But we're investigating that. So this just brings us right up to speed. Policy and procedure can be amended at any time. As seen fit through discussions with staff, with management, with health.
It's also part of the union contract, right? So if we're changing something that's going to affect our employees, then we have to have a policy in place so they know what the expectations are as well as us. So it's part of that as well.
Okay, well said. Thank you.
Okay, a question on this ANI agreement, as laid out here. When I first read this on the first page of the agenda, it made me think that there was just a reduction in the rate for the days of the performance, May 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th. This is a reduction in rates for the entire process leading up to that, right? For like rehearsals, performance day, grieving, rental, all that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have any idea of like what the rental on this would cost without the change?
I only calculated that, but we can, if you want that, I would actually share too.
I don't mind the loading barriers because the building would have been empty during this hours anyway.
This,
So for us to give up that building at a reduced rate, like we know nobody's booked it for the Wednesday, or the dates they're going to use for the rehearsals. And as an organization, I don't think that they could afford to pay full pop for every day they were there, whether teacher rehearsals or whatever. So I mean, this is a very large community event, and so it's very easy for this organization. I got thumbs up. I mean, to speak for them, right? But it's easy for us to do things like this.
this isn't new either.
No.
Mary Poppins, at least in our tenure, was the same. Although the rental rate did go up a little bit,
Yeah.
even the discounted rate. Yeah, it's important for the community.
Okay. To touch on what Rob said about the policy updates here, and the new things that are mentioned here. Start off with the asset management plan. I know that was something that's been discussed on and off the council for a long time. I believe there was a resolution last year to formally introduce an asset management plan. This may have already come up and I'm just forgetting it, but was the asset management plan that was mentioned before already completed, and this is a measure kind of bringing it in, or what are we looking at in relation to that?
I think it's an ongoing process, isn't it? Because if I understand it correctly, this has been a requirement, and it's a requirement by all government levels now. They need to know what's there. You need to be able to count your stuff, depreciate your stuff. It's required for taxes. It's required for granting too. So if we don't have reports on what we have and catalog our things, we can't request funds to continue on. So it all has to be out there in the open and as clear as possible. So it's going to be a fluid thing. It's going to continue to move on. I don't think it's going to stop happening.
No.
That can shoot.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. I wasn't sure if that was just a gathering up all the stuff you have to date and then adding and removing to it when you need to going forward, or what that exactly was going to look like.
That's what it's like now, because we haven't had it properly done in the past, but now it's become a real requirement. So, it has been a gathering up, but now it's going to be, after you do that, it's going to be a constant monitoring of where we're at.
It's like an ongoing diagnosis, which really leads us right into budget and budgetary requirements and it can go out of the finance plan. Yeah.
Well, it's like knowing the difference between a depreciating asset or a write-off weeks. It's just a bookkeeping base.
Yeah.
But it makes the arguments from us to other levels of government for when we need to repair, replace, that sort of thing, some of our infrastructure. And we have to be able to describe what it is we have now. And so that's part of the asset management, is deciding what it is we have. They had one of our students was doing nothing but GPS all summer, mapping out, pipes, manholes, and every other physical nature of thing, which was good for us, but it gets us back in the realm and makes that list more of a real list. So that won't stop happening.
Okay. To my understanding, it's basically just an inventory of everything the city has. Does it come across with an estimated value of these particular items too? I just thought, Councillor Hansen said depreciated value, and I just thought, is there an estimation of the different costs that these items would have, like a 50-year-old sewer pipe versus a 10-year-old sewer pipe might have a different cost or something like that to fix?
If you look at our budgets, then when we do our year ends every year, you can see that actually in there from the accountants. They'll say what our assets are and what the depreciation is. So yeah.
Because it depends what the actual aspect is as far as what the percentage of depreciation is allowed.
Okay. Also wanted to ask about the measure for GPS and vehicle tracking. My understanding, going from what Council just said, that this hasn't been happening until fairly recently. When did the city start GPS tracking city vehicles?
Go spring
Once,
to a year.
I think it was a decision made by council.
A year ago.
Yeah.
So it's been phased in since then.
Yeah.
So some of it's turned around and it's getting them more and more prevalent because it's getting into all the vehicles. It takes time to set it all up.
Okay. Is it in every city vehicle? Is it just in service trucks or something like that? Or what are we looking at for deployment?
I think you with that.
Operation it works. Vehicles have them. None of the tandems or the heavy equipment yet.
Yeah. About that, I haven't thought much about whether or not you have to GPS locate like a backhoe.
Yeah.
It's usually pretty easy to spot.
Yeah.
But
So are the trucks, but this keeps a record.
Yeah.
It's electronic along of it. And so it changes the nature of, being able to monitor where your stuff is. For whatever the reason you might want to know where your equipment is, you have a source of being able to track it.
And safety. I mean, GPS isn't uncommon to any organization with fleet.
I mean,
It's a safety measure and also an asset management measure.
I know that like City of Winnipeg, City of Regina, City of Saskatoon have had GPS in all vehicles, or at least the vast majority of them for a very long time. But that's a city of however many 100,000 people. We don't have that here, so sometimes the resources from the city don't necessarily scale down the Flin Flon, but it's interesting that that's in place. Also wanted to ask, again, talking about Councilor Valentino from Thompson kind of tipped me off to this. At the last meeting, when we got talking about the dollar lot deal and kind of the response that came in from that, mentioned that, Mr. Fontaine, that you had talked about it at a recent A&M or MM summit in Thompson. And I just kind of just slipped by me and I never asked any other updates, but what else came from that Northern Caucus meeting?
Well, then now you got me out. Where we much of things. We were seeing, we were treated to a real show on what Thompson is doing with in conjunction with the Indigenous groups around. I think they have an 80-acre site. It's about that they're slowly going to work out and parcel out to the Indigenous groups. They have a plan. It's all engineered. It's all drawn, that sort of thing. So the size of their community is probably going to grow by a third to half again, at least a third with this
Subdivision.
An Indigenous base or an Indigenous, how do I say? They'll still be in the town, but it'll be like an urban reserve, I guess, more for that. So we got to see that, but every group that was there, and the groups were there from most of the cities, gave their reports on what was going on in their communities. So that was really good. You just get to compare ideas and see who's doing well at what and who's, how you're doing with respect to them. Then there's simply a question of meeting people. One of the reasons I really was looking forward to this one was because we brought our new CAO on her third day working for us, and we stuck her there in a situation where she got a whole, room full of faces to try and remember. So that was a big chunk of it too. But did we have any other business? What were the other big businesses? Do you remember?
Well,
I didn't come prepared.
Thompson showed us their CSO program, which is
that was good.
Which is substantial. And actually, people talked about the good and the bad. Most of it was good, but most of it's expensive. It's all expensive. But so that was one. And, you get to network. We talk about Kathy Valentino, who happened to be there, Mayor Smook, and, of course, all the rest of the city's representatives were either there in person or via Zoom. And it's just great networking. And actually, Mayor Gillingham told Mayor Fontaine and I at not this last one, but the other one, he said, our problems are all the same. I just have more zeros on the end of mine. And he's right. He's right. Infrastructure, crime, everybody's roads are bad. And recreation and things like that. But it's so good to meet with those people. And then we're lucky that we get to be involved with that group, that city's caucus.
So this particular one, they were telling you about their new project. The last time that we had one of those, it was in Brandon. They took us for a tour, and their mayor was very interesting. And they didn't take us for a tour and try and shine his town up. They took us for a tour and showed us what was wrong, and showed us how they were trying to cope with the core area issues. Same issues we're having here. Exactly everything every person with Flin Flon complains about going down the main streets. They have them in Brandon. How are they dealing with it? What are they doing? How's it affecting them? That kind of stuff. So each time you go somewhere else and they have a meeting like that, you get a different slant on it. So it's usually kind of a cumulative thing. And the more you get to know people, then you get side stories because they talk traffic issues and different things. There's some issues that down there that they have that aren't ours, more drainage and farm issues that we tend to hear. Even though they're cities, they have some different issues that we do. But, all that stuff comes up in one way or another. And each group that's around talks about what's really in their corner, happening in their corner right now.
But Mara Selkirk or Steinbeck talked about how they have worked hard at I don't think they have the same issues as we do here, but revitalizing and their uptown or downtown, whatever they call it there. But and it was this is a term. It's densifying their uptown, getting people to come down and fill it up, and that it seems
In a
like
residential way.
yeah. And it seems that is really revitalized their uptown. And I'm sorry, I just can't remember where that mayor's from.
Mary Johansson.
Can't remember.
Upper.
You could say it's either Selkirk or Steinbeck. I can't remember.
Well, the one from there was Steinbeck.
Steinbeck.
Yeah. Anyway, there's lots of things that go on that's different every time.
Also wanted to, considering we're fortunately getting up to that time of year again, I want to know a little bit about the city's plans for this winter in regards to stone removal.
Leave it.
Because I know it's well, yeah, we're gonna move the stone, yes. But I know obviously the years kind of ebb and flow in terms of expense. Like, what's the city preparing for at the moment, and how does this year's snow removal budget right now, at least, compared to where other years have been at the same moment?
Well, it's the same budget as it was last year and the year before, $650,000. We've budgeted for. So I guess depending on how much snow we get is where we'll go. As far as getting ready, while the equipment would be changed over, looked at, skid steers, bobcat, snow removal, all of that equipment. I know that they're looking at it and getting it ready because you never know.
Over a 10-year period, budgeting process would.
Yeah.
See, but that's what you have to look at. It's 10-year periods.
Yeah, because that 1 year ago was really bad. We were up to the rural razor in Dalwood.
Yeah, and that last year.
Last year was really good. Yeah. I quite know that we're good, though. I'm sure we'll get to it. Yeah, just
Much of this.
Financially, we don't want snow, but
Yeah.
in reality, we need snow.
We need snow.
Yeah.
Had no snow.
We need silk.
And safe fires.
We need the snow for fire.
As nice as it would be to have a winter without having to shovel your way to the mailbox, yeah, it wouldn't be worth it for all the fires that we get the next summer,
For that mailbox to burn down.
among other things. Also wanted to know too, and I think Lynn mentioned us that the budget obviously varies from year to year. You mentioned the 1 year that it was really bad; it got to be 800,000 range. Obviously, that part of the budget could ebb and flow depending on the weather. When there's changes that need to be made to that budget, whether it's like a mild winter like we had last year where you spend less than you have originally budgeted, or if it's a particularly bad one like you mentioned where you have to spend more, where does the money to cover those gaps come from? Or where does the money that's originally budgeted to get that snow off the ground get moved to when it's not needed?
So we know everything in the budget broke down departments, and so is in the public works department. But so are a number of other things like roads, bridges, some of the underground work is in utilities budget and so on. So usually what happens, and this is a pattern sort of thing. I can't really use it for budgeting, but it is a pattern that does exist. So if our snow removal budget goes over, it's likely that something in the summertime has actually gone under. So I'm able to balance that. So far, I've always been able to balance based on some things that are over budget, and with that 1 year with this hauling, we were rating the budget.
Yeah.
So it's really just about looking at the budget and determining what to need.
Okay, fair enough. Also, wanted to try a shout out here. Has anybody heard anything back from the Public Utilities Board? I know it's been a while since the meeting. I haven't heard anything. Have y'all?
No, we were just talking about that because we were talking about what to talk about on the radio spot, and we can't talk about that because we don't have a response yet. So nothing more to say.
Okay. Good. I think that's it for me, guys.
Before you turn off, Thomas, I usually don't do this, but I will today. So October is Scare Hunger Month with Northland Ford. I usually don't promote too much about this. I usually don't promote too much about the food bank when we're at council, but this is such a huge fundraiser. Northland Ford goes above and beyond for the whole month. So during Bomber games, they collect food. I think you're doing the Kodiaks.
Kodiak's on Thursday, yeah.
As well as all the schools. So they organize all these food drives with the schools and with other organizations, and then their team collects the food and brings it to the food bank at the end of the month. Every year, we get food that lasts 6 to 8 months a year at the food bank. So if you're out and you're going to any of these events, please support the Scare Hunger.
Or you can drop it off at the dealership,
Yeah.
too, or we'll come pick it up.
Yeah. Northland Ford team goes above and beyond. I can't thank them enough. And I know you won't say it, so I'll say it. Yeah, it's pretty incredible what they do and what they have set up in their showroom. They do a tremendous amount for the community. And this whole month is deemed for the food bank. So I know at the food bank, we just really appreciate Northland Ford.
And it's this time of month that I get really worried because I look at the tables and they don't
Yeah.
look as full. But
He panics.
the schools always come around. And, it is a great fundraiser.
I get a call mid-month. I don't know, Allison, if we're going to do well this year. I don't know. It doesn't look good. It doesn't look good.
I don't have to call you now.
Yeah.
I'm just going to tell you.
Yeah, it's just telling everybody. Yeah, so everybody go to Northland Ford and support that.
And we got Mr. Hart there for a remote on
Yes.
Thursday. And of course, we want to sell a few cars, but we're going to also promote Scare Hunger.
Yeah, so just so everybody kind of knows a little bit about the food bank, like last month, 434 people walked through there. So for the amount of hours that we're open, that's 15 people every hour. Because we're only open very limited hours on Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. So that is a tremendous amount of people for the size of our community. The demographic is definitely changing with inflation, and probably I'm going to say at least 5 new clients a week. So at the rate that we're going, last year I purchased almost double the amount of food, and previous we never had to buy any food. So along with inflation comes less donations because it costs everybody more money to buy groceries. And to pay for their living expenses. So where are you going to cut? You would tend not to support some of the charities that you need. So this fundraiser is huge for us.
And if you're reporting it, fellas, not only food, but household items, soap, toothpaste, feminine hygiene products, toilet paper, whatever.
Shampoo.
Yeah, they'll accept too.
Yeah. Thanks.